When I first presented these high-end concepts to the team for the vision I had of New York, the team thought I was crazy. But when you put a crazy mind in a situation that I'm in, you can only get innovation.
His New York and his concept and the work that the concept team has done is frightening.
My first reaction was, there's no way in hell we're going to be able to pull this off.
We're really trying to capture the feel of what it would be like to walk the streets of this amazing, mega city and do these incredible things.
So that means more people in the streets, more traffic on the roads. It means more interactivity with props, with destruction, with characters that can interact with the worlds in unique ways.
But the oral is all around you, so it's our job to kind of make people feel like when they're in Times Square, they're standing in the middle of Times Square and stuff is all around them as it really would be.
Once the players are done running around this New York, I think they can go back to New York and they won't need a tour guide.
Well, the New York City for our game is really, it's the backdrop, it's the grounding thing which makes everything fantastic which happens in the game plausible. You want somewhere that's recognizable, somewhere that's iconic, somewhere that everyone can identify with, and I think most people, if they were offered an opportunity to go there, would go there because it's a really exciting, energetic, amazing city.
Well, a couple of things about our New York is it's probably the most densely packed city you've ever seen in terms of gameplay per square foot. There's so many fantastic events and fantastic things that the player can do in this game. We felt it was more impactful to set that against a hardcore background of reality, New York in 2008. And of course, New York is probably the most iconic city in the world, so what better city than that?
New York City itself is a character. And in my view as an art director, it is the main character. Yes, it's a backdrop to story, but my approach visually is that this is my main character and it's going to have a character arc. And I'm going to grow the story of New York and add to its history as it pertains to Prototype.
Well, Skip's a visionary for this game, and the quality of his work has constantly driven both the art team to realize that and aspire to bringing a game visual as compelling as his concept.
There was a team that went to New York City, took tons of photos to get a good sense of New York. But now we have these photos, but what's New York? I see it, it's flat, it's 2D, but what does that mean? I still have to turn it into a three-dimensional space.
It seemed to me that what he was envisioning was huge volumetric cloud systems, sort of the great beams of light filtering from the skies, the great contrast in the colors. I sort of sat back and said, this will never happen.
That's not a video game, that's a movie, that's way too insane. But we, time and time, keep delivering those things, and we pick the right elements to erase and say, hey, we can't do that. But we do a lot of what's in those concepts. And then when you compare the concepts to the game now, it's frightening how close they are.
I paint these concepts that you see and start to visualize New York City for Prototype. It's very important to me to hear the sounds.
Prototype has a very specific tone. It's pretty dark, and audio plays a really big role in supporting that tone. And of course, New York City being in a real environment and representing that environment in a contemporary and very realistic way. It's a very dynamic world. It's changing all the time. There's time of day, there's dynamic levels of number of pedestrians and vehicles and traffic, and things are always changing, so keeping up with that and representing that in the sound is one of our primary goals, and it's definitely a challenge.
Approximately 20% of the landmass of Manhattan is parks. Everybody thinks of it as a concrete city, but there's a lot of greenery in there. So it was a challenge to have enough foliage and enough greenery in the world with enough variety of the buildings, because you're almost trying to capture two games. A lot of people do a jungle game or a city game, but we almost have both. You learn the city, you get to know it, you get to know the neighborhoods, there's all these landmarks everywhere. So you start feeling at home eventually after you've played it for a certain amount of time. So it has that growth, like movies do. You know, you start scared and innocent at the beginning, and then you grow very powerful at the end, knowing your neighborhood, knowing your environment, and discovering it.
Right now, it blows me away. Like, you know, we look down what's Fifth Ave, and we just are amazed. We see the vistas, we see the buildings reaching off into the background, in the fog, reaching out of the fog into the sky. It just looks amazing. And the night stuff that we're doing is coming online very recently, and it's beautiful.
And what you see are these great flows, almost natural like rhythms in the vehicles and the pedestrians as they move through the sort of the natural cycle of the day, and the sun rises and the sun sets, and all the lights in the building turn on and all the lights in the building turn off. And it's this beautiful flow, and that was also a flow that we are trying to capture in this video game by having our sort of dynamic time of day.
I hope these making of pieces are interesting to people who are interested in learning about the game, that they get something out of this. But when they'll really see it is when they see the gameplay come together. They'll see videos out there for gameplay, which I know I'm seeing every day when we're making the game. So when you see those videos come online on the web, on TV, there won't be any room for debate.
You know, a lot of games, do hype and pre-market, and try to sell before they come out and build up the buzz. And, I'll be honest, we're doing that too here. We're part of the marketplace. But if you know something about me personally, okay, I'm a realist. I don't overpromise. What I say, I frickin' deliver. So if you're seeing something here in these videos and you're not believing it, and you're not believing what we're saying, and you're not believing that we can pull it off, you're wrong. We will.